Start with today is the beginning of Lecha. Which we've seen before, but we're going to take two different lenses, two different ways to read it. Okay? So I got to check maybe you got the best Hebrew. So take the first line.
Okay.
I just take the first phrase. We'll do the phrase at a time.
Bring me with just the first phrase.
First phrase. I'll stop you when you have to stop.
Okay. Vayomer Adonai el Abraham.
Stop. Okay. Has God ever talked to Abraham before?
No.
That's the first time, right? First time God. But has Abraham ever been mentioned before in Chumash?
Oh, well, yeah. And the last expression.
Yeah. And in what context is he mentioned? Actually, look in Perek Yud Aleph, starting in Pasuk Yud. It's like really boring, but there's a whole section of genealogies. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
The beginning of Perek Yud is interesting. I mean, the beginning of Perek Yud Aleph, the first time Psukim came. That's an interesting story. It's out of Migdal Babel. Remember that story?
Yeah.
There's an Industrial Revolution, and they figure out how to make bricks. And they, oh wow, we got these bricks, we can make a city. And then we can make the tower, we put our name on the tower. We become famous. But God's not happy, right? So we'll go back to that story later on. After that, we have, that's an interesting story you probably learned before. But starting from Pasuk Yud to the end of the parak, are genealogies from who to who? From Noach till Avram. Wrong. Look carefully. It didn't start with Noach.
Started with Noah's sons.
Not all sons.
No, Hagar, right?
Shem.
What's the shame?
Shem.
Oh, Shem, that's his name. Okay. That's a strange name, isn't it? Right. But for some reason, the story of Avram begins not with, we had the 10 generations from Adam to Noach back in chapter 5, in Perek Hey. Now we have a very similar list, starting in Perek Yud Pasuk Yud, but not starting with Noach to Avram. That's what you would think, because that's what Perek Yud talks about. Do you remember Perek Yud? But in Chumash is different. We don't start with Noach, we start with Shem. Understand? And not all three sons of Noah, only Shem. Because Abram is a descendant of Shem. And we're going to see this now. We get from Shem, and then you get his kids, and you end up with who? We don't end up with Abram, we end up with Terach. And Terach has 3 sons. So we have one child for each generation, from Shem to Terach, just like we had from Adam to Noah. And when we got to Noach, Noach had 3 sons. And now we go from Shem to Terach, and Terach has 3 sons. What a surprise. It's called a parallel structure. And of those 3 sons, one of them is Avram. Who are the other ones?
Nachor
It's
and
Nachor and
Haran.
Haran. What happened to Haran? Died. And he had a couple of children, but he had one son. His name was Lot. And Avram pretty much adopts Lot. Looks like his son to Avram. We'll get to that later on. Then what happened? Yeah. What does Terach do? Most people don't realize, even though it's in Chumash.
He starts in Aliyah.
Yeah, he's the first Zionist. What way? He plans to make Aliyah.
Then he stops.
And he stops in Tina. He stops in Haran, but his kids make Aliyah. Is that what happens?
Yeah.
He's on his way to Eretz Canaan, but he gets to Haran. And he stays in Haran. Avram continues the journey, which seems like a natural process, because one of the descendants of Shem, his name is Ever, I think his great grandson. You see the look? Yeah. See the list? There's Shem, Arpachshad, Shelach, and then Ever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But Ever has lots of kids, even though it doesn't talk all of them here. He has Peleg and Yoktan, we have all that from? There's 2 places we have the children of Shem. We have it here, but also back in Perek Yud, when we had all the sons, remember the 70 nations? So that was in Perek Yud, when we have all the children of Noach, Shem, Cham, and Yafet. So we have all their descendants, and we get to 70 nations. That was in Perek Yud. But it's cute. Take a look in Perek Yud, Pasuk Chav Aleph. Yeah, look in Perek Yud, Pasuk Chav Aleph. Go back a chapter. Actually, look how Perek Yud begins. Just look at the whole parak for a minute. Perek Yud begins with Eile Todot B'nei Noach. Got it? Including who? Shem, Cham, and Yafet. Look at the last line of Perek Yud. Does it match? It says Ele Mishbecho B'nei Noach B'Todotam. something like that, right? And what's it say? And from them, all the nations scattered, or went around. Then we have the story about how they scattered, followed by that. So like Perek Yud sort of introduces the story of Big Bavel. But in Perek Yud we have 3 parshiot, don't we? You see the 3 like paragraphs there?
Yeah.
What would you think? What should they correspond to?
Some.
If there's 3 parshiot in Perek Yud, and these are the Toldot of Bnei Noach, Shem, Chav, and Yafet, what would you expect the 3 parshiot to correspond to?
Sun. To the sun.
Yeah. So is that true? The first one is who? The first section is Cham and Yafet and Cham. The middle one is who? No, the middle one? In Perek Yud. In Perek Yud, you have the 3 sons of Noah. Then we go right to the children of Yafet and Cham. And then we have a separate little paragraph, a separate parshiah, just about Canaan. We get a lot of detail about Canaan, and see all Canaan's kids. Does the names look familiar? Canaan's kids are like, most of them are the 7 nations. That's why they're called.
That's so cute.
That's why in general they're called Canaan, the Canaanites. But the Canaanites have a lot of sub-tribes. And I think, and then, in Pasuk Yatet, we even find out where Canaan was living. Where was Canaan living? See in Pasuk Yatet? We have the borders of Canaan, from Sidon up in Lebanon, all the way down to Gaza. Right? And then all the way down to the Dead Sea, to Sodom and Gomorrah. See that? Which is the borders of Eretz Canaan, pretty much. Why do you think Chumash is going to mention that?
Because it's important later on.
We need to know what Eretz Canaan, because God's going to take Eretz Canaan and promise it to Avram instead. Now, in Pasuk Chav Aleph, we have the last section. How does that begin? No, then we have the children of Shem. And Shem has a nickname. What's Shem's nickname? Who is Shem? He's Avi Kol Bnei Ever. What does that mean? He's the father of all Bnei Ever. Who's Ever?
The Greek
Ever's his great
grandson.
grandson. But Shem is known as the father, which doesn't mean the father, but like the leader of all Bnei Ever. And Ever isn't until 4 generations later. Now, in those names of children of Shem, we get the first generation, but we don't get all the grandchildren. We only get our Pachshad's grandchildren. See that? Our Pachshad's one of his kids. Our Pachshad has a kid named Shelach, right? And Shelach has a kid named Ever. So we're only focusing on Ever's family, and when we get to Ever, what do? Then we have Peleg and Yoktan. And then we get to Yoktan, and we got lots of kids, don't we? It's like a whole group of them. And guess what we call all these many families from Ever? If you're one of those grandchildren from Ever, you know what you're called in Chumash? An Ivri. No, who's called an Ivri in Chumash? Isn't Avram called an Ivri? And there's the God of the Ivrim, isn't there? So Chumash in Perek Yud is setting the stage for later on. What's really cool, there's 20, in the 70 nations, 26 of them are from Shem.
Well,
26
is
the
God.
gematria of Yod-Heh, which is God's name. Which relates, I guess, to Shem being called Shem. Understand?
Yep.
We'll talk about why Shem is called Shem later. Now, why do we do all that? Avram, the story of Avram begins in the end of Perek Yud Aleph with the genealogies from Shem down to Terach, and Terach with 3 sons. But it's important that Avram is the descendant of Shem, because there's a reason why Noah called his son Shem. You know why? Yeah. We can talk about that, don't we? No. Yefet is a beautiful name, isn't it?
Yeah.
How do you know Yefet is a beautiful name?
Because the name means.
That's what it means. And Cham was the hottest name at the time.
Oh God.
Actually, Cham means Cham in ancient Egyptian means servant. It's really neat. Names in the Bible. Yeah. Names are cute in Chumash. Okay.
Or was it? I'm saying,
Our Pachshad's not. Most of the names. How come they don't have Hebrew names? Because they're not Jewish.
Oh yeah.
Hebrew names start with
Shame is and
Shem. I mean, they're all the same language. But it's like wordplay. Like Moshe, really name should be Mashui. Noach should be named Nahum or Menachem.
Why?
Because he's called Noach Zei Nachamenu. Remember when
Okay.
Lecha calls him Noach? He says Zei Nachamenu. This essentially give us comfort.
So like then why isn't
Instead-
why isn't he called that?
Because he's called Noach. Because what's Noach backwards?
Chen.
Okay.
Ah.
And Noach is Motzachem B'nei Hashem. Was anyone
Yeah,
anyone else Motzachem B'nei Hashem?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. One other person in Chumash was Motzachem B'nei Hashem.
Was it Yonah?
In Chumash,
Moshe.
Moshe.
When was that when
In Chetei
when he
Gal,
wants
yeah.
to kill?
And when he prays, to them to kill the people in
Yeah.
Chetei Gal.
Yeah.
In fact, two people in Chumash get this offer: let me kill everyone else and make you the only one. Who are they? Noach and Moshe.
Mm-hmm.
Did they have the same response?
No.
No. Noach says no.
Okay.
Okay, and Moshe, he davens. In fact, there's two people in the Torah saved by Teva, and Noach. And there's two people in the Torah have 40 days and 40 days and 40 nights. It's a central part of their life.
Mm-hmm.
Guess who they are?
No, Moshe.
Moshe. You catching on?
Catching on.
And both God makes a break with both of them. It's like really important stuff. In fact, and what's Moshe's name backwards? What's Moshe's spelled backwards? Oh, Hashem. It's nice. So name and Moshe should be really Moshe. Remember if you mean Amai Mishitiu? You call him Moshe. So you see names are names aren't just names. Names are themes. Usually. There's something up there.
So how did you name your children?
I didn't have much say in the matter. Because as in the Bible, usually the mother gives the names. She bears the child. She gives a name. Gives the name Sheikh. The name Cain. Chava, didn't she?
Yeah.
And she named Sheikh Sheikh. Named Chava. She's the mother of all living things. That's why she's
How
called
would you
Chava.
name your children?
What? Cain?
Hevel.
No, didn't say his name. That was Chumash calls him Hevel. She doesn't call him Hevel.
What does she call him then?
We don't
I
know.
don't know. But Chumash calls him Hevel.
How do we know that she didn't call him Hevel?
It doesn't say.
Well, it
They
says
don't
she
know,
did.
but it doesn't say she called him Hevel. It says
But not every
no, it's
person's name
Cain.
do we see them.
Cain gets called a name with an explanation. She calls him Cain.
Kivaniti
It says
Yishet
Kinik
Hashem.
Yashalim. And then talks about his brother was Hevel. She's like a shadow
Right.
character. Because the
It's a
story's about
sad
time.
story. I feel
What?
bad for Hevel. I don't know.
That's what the name means.
I know.
Nothing.
Now,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Back to
So weird.
okay. So back to what we're doing. So why do we do all that? It's interesting that Avram Avinu is part of a process. All these Bnei Ever, in fact, back in Parakut it says Bnei Ever, where are they living? All over they're transient, these Bnei Ever, and they're nomadic. And Terach's family is moving from Mesopotamia towards Canaan, but they stop in Haran. Haran's up in Syria. Now, Avram continues the journey. Why does he continue? Like many things in Chumash, it could be for one of two reasons. It could be a natural process, or God might be behind the events. You ever notice that in life? There could be things happening just by chance, or maybe God's behind the events. Like that's how we view. Is God behind history and shaping it and guiding it, or do things happen by probability? Ask your local rabbi. Listen to the rabbi's speech. When Babel comes into power, is that just by chance, or is God behind that? When Ashur comes into power, ask your local Navi. And when Avram makes Aliyah, why is he doing it? Because it was a family kind of thing, or did God tell him to do it? So what's Chumash telling us in Parakut Bet?
That it was a God thing.
Now you some of you know that? When Chumash, Vayomer Hashem el Avram, Lecha, what's it telling us? That Avram's Aliyah wasn't just, God was behind the events. Does Avram answer God?
He forgot.
No, he gets up and goes.
He goes, he just follows.
I mean, he was angry.
Now, does Avram know who God is? Does God ever appear to Moshe?
Yeah.
Yeah. When's the first time God talks to Moshe?
Morning book.
And how does he introduce himself?
And me, something
I'm the God of Avram,
Jacob.
Yitzhak, and Yaakov. And when God first appears to Yaakov in that dream in Bethel, the thing, how does God introduce himself?
I'm the God
Of Avram and Yitzchak. And when God first talks to Yitzchak in Parshat Todot, guess what he tells him? I'm the God of Abraham. He never says I'm the God of creation. We don't get the Torah until Har Sinai. And how does God introduce himself to Avraham Avinu? He doesn't say I'm the God of Avraham because he sees Avraham. He doesn't tell Yitzchak I'm the God of Yitzchak. But he can't say I'm the God who took you out of Egypt because he didn't take you out of Egypt yet. Understand? So you know what the rabbis understand from here? Avraham must have figured out about God on his own. You learned the Midreshet about that, right?
Yeah.
There once
Yeah. Yeah. But it's a pasuk. You know why? Because take a look, fast forward to Perek Tet Vav, pasuk Zayin. Perek Tet Vav is going to be famous because that's Brit Ben Tarim. Yeah. But there's a really neat line in pasuk Zayin where God talks to Avram.
אשר הוצאתיך מארץ כסדים לתת
ויאמר
לך
השם, אני השם.
אשר הוצאתיך מארץ כסדים לתת לך את הארץ הזאת ולשתה.
Hey, that was me. I'm the one who took you out of Ur Kasdim. That wasn't your daddy. That wasn't Terah. That was me who took you out of Ur Kasdim. Why? That journey, it started with your father. That wasn't just by chance. God was behind those events. Understand what's happening?
Mm-hmm.
And why? Because I want you to be sovereign to conquer this land one day. We'll see that it's going to happen 400 years later, but God's telling Avraham Avinu, you're part of the historical process. And you have to be aware of that. So, what Chumash is telling us now in Perek Bet, God tells Avraham Avinu to start this journey. To where? Now you can finish the pasuk.
לך מארצך ממותך מבית אביך אל הארץ אשר אראך.
To the land I'm going to show you. You know the position better. Now, put yourself in Avraham Avinu's position. Okay? Avraham was just told by God to begin a journey to the land I'm going to show you. If you were Avraham Avinu, what would you expect the next line to be?
Go to this place. Like a
He told him where he's going to, where I show you. Just, put in GPS. From your location to where? To God's location. Wherever. Just put in wherever God says. God runs a GPS, so you just follow.
Uh-huh.
God, if he'll find out the location later, but right now he's just following a journey that God's sending him on. Okay? But so let's say he knows how to follow God. But what should the next line be? Don't tell me what it says. What would you expect it to be?
How to get there? Like,
Okay.
or like how to recognize that you're there.
Okay. So maybe God will tell you have arrived.
What's the place that we're
Like
going?
when you're on Waze, how do you know you arrived? It tells you have arrived.
or a little bit about God.
Want to see when that happens?
Yeah, like an
Wait,
eye.
why?
Wait. Just fast forward to Pasuk Zayin. In Pasuk Vav, Avram gets to Shechem. And Perek Bet. Yeah. What happens in Pasuk Zayin? At the Arab says, when he arrives in Shechem in Pasuk Vav, God talks to him again and say, you have arrived.
Yeah.
Got it? Now, but I want to go back now after Pasuk before we read Pasuk Bet, I want to understand what do we expect to happen? God just told you begin the journey. Let's say you know where to go to follow. What do you want to know?
Say why.
Yeah. So if you might want to know why, what's the purpose of this journey? What else might you want to know? Think like a kid.
Why do I have to leave?
Do you ever go to shul as a little kid? Why did you go?
Candyman.
Exactly. In other words, what's in it for me? Yeah, understand the two lenses you can use?
Yeah.
The next line could be, what's in it for me? Or the next line could be, what's the purpose of the journey? Okay? Those are two good possibilities.
Aren't those very similar questions? In terms of like what's in it for me and like what's the purpose? I don't know, like in my mind, like I would say like, well, if the purpose isn't worthwhile, then I'm not gonna do it.
So let's say you go to shul. Is the purpose to get candy? Is the purpose to daven? Is that the same
As a
thing?
little kid, its purpose is to get candy. And
That's
what's in
something
it
after an adult, but that's two different things. It's the difference between an adult and a kid. But what gets kids to go to shul?
Candy.
And what should bring the adults to shul? Schnapps. Schnapps.
Yeah.
What did you say?
Kiddush club. Schnapps is Yiddish for it's a disaster. Now, back to Chumash. So what is the next line? See pasuk bet? Ve'eschel goy gadol. What is that? Reward or purpose?
Reward.
It sounds like reward, right? Why does it sound like reward? Oh, you'll be
Great nation.
Nation. That's a reason to make Aliyah.
That is why he's going,
Yeah.
so he can make.
Or
it.
is that the purpose? Right? Does God want a nation? Is God interested in having a nation? Does that theme ever come up in Chumash? That God has a nation?
Yes.
Remember on Yom Kippur you saying something, Anu Amecha V'Ata Eloheinu? Hey, we're your people? I think it's a theme that comes up later on in Chumash like a lot, doesn't it?
Yes.
So is the theme of Chumash beginning, and God's explained to Avram Avinu, there's a purpose in your journey, and it's your job to start a nation? Because I want you to work for, this nation is going to be my nation, and you got the job to do. Or is it promising reward? Now, it might be reward to be part of God's plan. But the question, what lens are we reading this from? Is God convincing Avram, do it because it's good, because you get rewarded? Or doing it, or this is the purpose of, why is it important, if there's a deeper purpose in this journey, why is it important for Avram to know the purpose of this journey? If he's going to start the nation, he should know why it's starting. Keep that in mind. Now, what's the next phrase?
Don't you want to have a legacy?
What?
People are also very into having a legacy. One is a true
Yeah, but is the reason to have a legacy, or the reason for legacy is to do something important to help mankind, humankind? Understand? Let's get to the next one. What's that mean?
Oh, bless you.
Is that reward? Sounds like
Yeah.
it. We'll discuss that later. I'll make you
Have a great
be
name.
famous. Now, that sounds like reward, right?
That's reward.
Yeah. But could it be that Avram becoming famous, or that nation becoming famous, is going to fulfill the purpose?
Yes.
Yeah. Because if this nation has a message for the other nations, then what? Then to give that, if people know about us, then you can, if you're famous, you can get a message up. I'll give you an example of it. Fast forward to Sefer Malachim Aleph, Perek Yud. It's like a famous story, not a famous person, not famous people. You remember the Queen of Sheba?
Yeah.
Was she famous?
Yeah.
She's famous to us. How come? You've heard of the Queen of Sheba, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, she went and met with Shlomo.
Yeah. But where's she from?
Sheba.
Sheba. Which is like far away. That's like in Ethiopia somewhere. Somewhere down in Africa, or somewhere far away. And back then it wasn't that they didn't have like, airplanes and things like that. That was like a long visit.
She traveled.
She traveled there. But why did she want to hear, why is she traveling to visit Shlomo?
She wants to see the Beis Mikdash, I thought.
Well, let's see what the Navi says.
No, it wasn't it.
What's it say? What's it say in Pasuk Aleph in Perek Yud? Umakat Shva Shomat et Shema Shlomo l'Shem Hashem. She hears about how great Shlomo is, because she hears about his wisdom, but he has trade routes all the way down the Red Sea, down to Ethiopia. He has a big army. He has published, he publishes his wisdom. People hear about his wisdom. They have a big, strong economy. They become famous thanks to the trading, and the trade routes, and the shipping, and everything that Shlomo did. But everything Shlomo's doing he's doing it in whose name? In the name of God. And therefore, when Malkat Shva hears about Shlomo, she also hears about God. Understand? We'll come back to these things later on. But you can understand that V'Gala Shemecha is not just reward for your aliyah, but rather it enables you to fulfill your purpose of being God's nation. If God wants a nation that's going to make the concept of God known to other nations, remember that idea of being a light to other nations? It was the first haftarah we had in Breshit. If that's the long-term goal of what God's starting now, if God is choosing Avram Avinu not to reward him, but rather to start a nation, and that nation is going to have an impact on the rest of humankind forever, and that will have a destiny, then it makes sense that Avram should know for what purpose he's chosen. And therefore God's telling him, I want you to start a nation, and that nation needs a blessing. The blessing we'll see will be to fulfill potential. And I'll make your name great. And the last phrase, Vayebracha, what's the difference between I'll bless you and you'll be a blessing?
You'll get something versus you'll get something.
Because the greatest blessing is to be a blessing. Is to be able to help others.
It's a
You'll be in a
blessing.
position where you can help others. You can be a blessing for others. Which is the greatest blessing you can have. Not to receive, but to be able to give.
100%.
Then God says in Gimel, I'll bless those who bless you and curse those who curse you. And the last phrase, I'll help you accomplish your goal. But what's the last phrase? Through you, I'll bring blessing to all the families of the earth. Which goes back to Perek Yud, remember? These are Mishpachot B'nai Noach. It's clear that what God's telling Avraham Avinu, the reason why I'm choosing you to start a nation has to do with all the 70 nations.
Mm-hmm.
I'm choosing you for the sake of humankind. And Avraham needs to know that, because if he was from the lens of a kid, it's all about reward. From the lens of an adult, it's all about purpose. That's the point? No.
Mm-hmm.
So Avraham begins his journey with Lot and Sarah. Remember, that's in Pasuk Vav and Hey. And in Pasuk Vav, they arrive in Shechem. By Avraham Ba'atzah from Shechem to Elon Moreh. But back then, the Canaanites were still in the land. And what's God tell Avraham in Pasuk Zayin? You have arrived. Remember, the Zaracha. God thanks him. Built a mizbeach. We'll talk about what that means later. But he continues his journey, doesn't he? So we see in Pasuk Yud, take Misham Hara. He continues along the mountain range. There's a mountain range from Shechem all the way down to here. You learned about that?
We walked there in Masa.
Yeah. There's a mountain range that starts in Beersheba, goes through Hebron, through Gush Etzion, Beit Lechem, Yerushalayim, Beitel, Ramallah, Shiloh, Shechem. That's like the heart of the country. That's a big mountain range. That's Yehuda and Shomron. So Avram continues the journey from Shechem on his way down towards Beitel. All the stories about your forefathers are on those cities. Shechem, on the top of the mountain range, the northern part. Beitel, a little north of Yerushalayim. Hebron, a little farther south, and Beersheba. Right? Those are the cities of your forefathers, aren't they? And a little bit with the Plishtim with Gerar, but it's a side point. The main cities are along the top mountain range, because that's the heart or the spinal cord of Israel. Now, he continues traveling in Pasachet along the mountain range to where? Between the eye and between Beitel Me'amai Mekedem. And what does he do in Pasachet? Vayiven Sham Mizbeach L'Hashem. And what else does he do? Look at the end of Pasachet. Vayiven Sham Mizbeach Vayikra B'Shem Hashem. Translate that.
And he calls out to God's name.
He calls out to God or about God. Is that the same thing? If he's calling out to God,
Lechem. That would be Lechem if it was two.
What would you call in English calling out to God?
Talking to him, needing something from him.
Yeah, give me that in one word.
Prayer.
No, in English, prayer, and in Yiddish, davening, or tefillah in Hebrew. If he's talking about God, what would you call that? But he's not making predictions.
No,
He's talking about God. You praise God. You talk about Him.
Mm-hmm.
You talk about movie stars. You talk about sports. You talk about what? Okay, but
He's doing what God asked of him.
Would there be, if Avram is chosen to bring the concept of God to mankind, would it be helpful if Avram talks about God to other people?
Yeah.
This God that he found?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the question, what's Avram doing for a living? Is Avram praying or praising? Like, what do we do in davening?
Right.
We pray or praise? We do, in Hebrew, tila or tefillah? We do tila or tefillah? There's a book about it called Tehillim, right? Which is Tehillim is tila or tefillah? There's both, aren't there? There's tila l'David and there's tefillah l'David. But most of our siddur is more praise than prayer. But there's prayer, yeah. But what's Avram doing? That's you'll see later on. You see the Ramban. It's a great Ramban. Because Rashi's going to hold. He's davening. He's praying, and Ramban will no. He's talking about God. It's for now.
Oh, we just learned this
Parsha. It's this week's parsha.
When did we
about
learn?
like the
Yeah.
Gemara about that Avraham is Shachar.
Oh, I know what you mean.
Chazal,
We read, like, from this
yeah,
passage.
it's like Chazal. Chazal attribute the three different tefillot to the three avot. Remember, Avram does Shachri, and Yitzchak is Mincha, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Yaakov is Mar, because he's dealing with exile and trouble. Associated with that. Darkness is when it's hard to see God, so you need Emun at night, I think. Remember? Like Babokar Chaz Lecha, where's that from? Guess from Tehillim, isn't it? Now, so that's the end of Avram's journey. Got the point? So what should Avram do now? But what should happen now, based on what God promised him?
That is reward.
Avram was supposed to start a nation. To start a nation, what do you need?
People.
You need people. And how do you get people? You have to have children. Okay? And to be a nation, besides having people, you also need a land. And you have to be sovereign in the land. So what should happen sooner or later?
He's going to get to the land and have children.
We'll get to the land, have children, and conquer the land.
Mm.
And become sovereign. But instead, what happens in Pasuk Yud? There's a famine in the land. And what's Avram do? Where's Avram go? You know the story, don't you? He goes, see, why is it better in Egypt? What's Egypt have that we don't have?
The Nile.
That's right. And the Nile is a good source of water. That's why whenever there's a famine in Egypt, where'd your forefathers go? And when there's a famine in Israel,
They go to
they
Egypt.
go to Egypt, because in Egypt there's the Nile.
Right.
And even when there's like water there all the time. That's why it's the center of civilization. A center of civilization. Okay. Do you know any other major cities on the globe that sit on rivers?
Yes.
In France, is there a big city that sits on a river?
What's this on what?
Is there a city that's sitting on a river in France? A major city? Name me like a big city in France.
Oh,
Paris, yeah.
Paris.
Yeah. Is there a river that goes through the city?
Yeah.
There's a river.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Water.
Yeah, sure.
Is that by chance?
No.
How about London?
Yeah.
One is an island.
Yeah. And how about even New York, right? Lots of rivers. There's like,
Yeah, no.
yeah. Because New Jersey and New York are the same city. Right? That's the same thing. Any other big city in Germany? Isn't there like a big Rhine River? Frankfurt. They're all. Every major city's on a river. Egypt's got the big river. It's got a whole delta. Mesopotamia, remember? Something like Baghdad, all those big cities. They're all sitting on rivers, which makes sense, doesn't it? And what's wrong with
I need a minute.
what's wrong with Israel?
There's no one.
What do we have instead? We need rain. Is that good or bad?
And there's no oil.
Well, it depends what's going to give us rain.
Depends on how it's feeling.
There's a whole theme on Chumash about that, isn't there? Like we started asking for it a couple of days ago, didn't we?
Yep.
Now, back to so Avram. But now Avram goes down to Egypt. Did God tell him to go to Egypt?
No.
Did it say, "Vayom Hashem Avram, go down to Egypt"?
No.
Did you do the right thing or the wrong thing? Guess what it's going to be? A massive argument among the commentators. Ramban's going to say he did the wrong thing. And because of this, we have to go down to Egypt later on. It's an amazing Ramban. But maybe he did the right thing, because what are you supposed to depend on a miracle?
No.
Is that a great machoket? What's the right thing to do? And did Avram do the right thing or the wrong thing?
Right.
When he this half lie about Sarah being his sister.
Not a
Not-
half
yeah,
line.
What?
She's not his sister.
Oh, she might be his sister. She's Iska. Remember Haran had 3 kids? He had Lot, who was a boy, and he had Milcah and Iska. So Milcah married Nahor, Avram's other brother. Nahor married his niece. Nahor married one daughter, and Avram took care of Lot. But it could be the Iska is Sarai. Should make sense, because someone's got to take care of her. And that's what he says later on. This is my sister. But her name changes because she has a job to do.
And then your name changes again. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And hey comes, Avram gets a hey, she gets a hey. But they go down to Egypt and they come back from Egypt, right? What do you expect Avram to do when he comes back from Egypt? Remember what happened in Egypt? Happened in Egypt. But when they come back from Egypt, remember he comes out wealthy? Where should he go? Don't look. Where do you expect him to go to? And what should he do?
Go back
Put it in a
and
more
start
populated city.
So let's see what happens. Look in the beginning of Parakut Gimel. Look at the first 2 lines of Parakut Gimel. Avram comes back from Egypt, doesn't he? Together with Lot and Sarai and the whole family.
And he's very low.
And where's he go to? Look in Pasuk Gimel. goes back to Beitel, to what place? We can possibly El Mokom HaMizbeach, the place he built the Mizbeach back in the beginning. And what does he do there? Do you have the pasuk Dalet? Again, he calls out in God's name. Catching on? What's Avram doing for a living? Making a name for God. It's called Maseh Avot Simin Abanim.
We don't like believe in like going on
He's a
conversion.
missionary.
No, we Avram did that just to get things started. We do it by how we act. We do passive education. And we don't tell people what they need to do. We act properly. We're going to get a guidebook later on helping us understand what's proper behavior. And we'll do it not just as individuals, we'll do it as a people, as a nation. Because we have laws about our political system and how we go to war and how we set up, social justice in the country. And our judges have to be just and upright. And we have to have cities of refuge, and we have to have a whole taxation system called Masrot, etc. Because we're going to build a just and upright society, and Chumash will give us guidelines about national behavior and individual behavior. Pushing to you as well. But if we do that and talk about God, not tell other people what to do, but remind ourselves and talk publicly. Let's say we gather in a synagogue together and talk about God, and talk about His name, and act in a special way, then that might promote, that might bring a message to other nations. It's called behavior is contagious. In either way. So do we do that later in Judaism? Do we ever gather together as a people and talk about God? It's called going to shul, right? In fact, when we gather together in shul, what's the most common prayer that we say? We say it over and over again. What's the most common?
Shema.
More than Shema.
Kedusha.
Not close, not Kedusha, but
Kaddish.
Kaddish. Is Kaddish a prayer or a praise?
Praise, yeah.
Are we praising God or are we praying? Well, we're not
Praise.
praying for our needs,
Praising.
but we're praying. We're praying to what?
The neshama of our.
No, not the neshama. Yeshmer Rabbah.
Yeah.
Is a prayer. For what?
Why is it a prayer
It's
though?
a prayer that God's reputation should
Will
become
be
greater and greater.
exalted.
And here we go again. Because we're praying that our goal will be fulfilled. But how do we fulfill it? By keeping the mitzvot. By saying Shema and keeping Shema. Remember? The way you promote God is you have to talk about God. You eat an apple, you talk about God, don't you? It rains. Remember? You make a bracha when it does rain, when there's thunder and lightning. God surrounds you 24/7. You turn to God for all your needs. But the way you act has to reflect what you talk about. And if the people who talk about God all the time and go to shul and pray that God's name should be great, but if those people are obnoxious and corrupt and cheat and lie, that's what's called a chilul Hashem. That's like the worst thing. That's the worst thing you could do. God would say, it's better don't do. I'd rather you not come to shul at all. Remember that? That's getting profit. That's what they'll tell you. And therefore, because we talk about God, God holds us to a higher standard. And the rest is coming. So, you see what's happening in the beginning of Avram's life? It's not just a bunch of stories. We're setting the stage for the rest of the women. Because Avram is beginning a journey. God's not looking for obedience. You follow? He wants to start a nation. But starting that nation is going to be a long, complicated historical process. Everything happening will be symbolic of what could happen in the future. But that journey begins in Lecha, and in the opening lines we're already getting allusions to what the rest of Chumash will be about. It'll get way more complicated. But I'm trying to show you in the beginning of Lecha where it's not just a story. It's the beginning of like the verb lechet comes up a lot, doesn't it? There's lechet. What's mitalech mean? Lechet is to walk. Litalech is to be in a conscious state of walking. Like who is mitalech in Gan Eden?
Adam. No.
I think Hashem wasn't he?
Oh.
Did anyone walk with God?
No.
No, first Hanoch did, right? Didn't Hanoch walk with God? But God took him away before the flood. But Noah, we're told that Noah was eter li mitalech Noach. I think later offerings can be commanded. Italech lefanei v'yatamim. The word lech is going to be a big thing also. the Lech and Midreshet. See later on. But it's not by chance they call the Parsha Lecha. Because life is about just not walking nowhere, walking with God. We're accomplishing something. We're going somewhere. Having going somewhere. Okay, so we'll stop here. We'll take a break. But that's our introduction to Lecha.